So you survived your first one. You thought you had it all figured out. You figured the second one would just be twice as much work. But then baby number two arrived, and suddenly you did not recognize the woman in the mirror anymore. The rage is faster, the exhaustion is deeper, and the disconnection you feel from your husband, your kids, even yourself is something you never thought you would feel. And the guilt of feeling it is almost worse than the feeling itself. Because you have done this before, you know how hard it is. You thought knowing would protect you. It did not. And I want to be completely honest about something. You are not losing control. You are not failing. You are out of resources. There is a massive difference between being a mean mom and being a depleted one. The version of you that feels like she is falling apart right now, she is not weak. She is physically empty. And today I'm going to show you exactly why and what your body is actually asking for. So here is what nobody tells you before the second baby arrives. The first pregnancy drew from your reserves significantly. Your body, in its extraordinary God-designed wisdom, always prioritizes your baby completely. Every resource needed to build their nervous system, their bones, their cells, came from yours. And then breastfeeding continued that draw, month after month, pulling from what was already being depleted. And research shows that full recovery from pregnancy, restoring sleep, and restoring nutrient levels can take up to 7 years. 7 years. Do you know what happens to most moms before 7 years is up? They have another baby. So here is what actually happens when baby number two arrived. Your second pregnancy did not start from a full tank. It started from a tank that was already significantly depleted from the first one. And your second baby drew from that already depleted reserve the same way your first baby did. The same process, the same demand, the same priority. Baby first, mom last. Except this time, the starting point was already low. And then this time, there was a toddler who needed you completely while you were growing a whole human being, while you were recovering from birth, while the baby needed you around the clock. The wall you hit after your second baby is not in your head. It is not a weakness. It is a mathematical reality of what two pregnancies taken from one body that was never fully restored between them. And once you understand that, the entire conversation about why you feel the way you feel completely changes. Now, I need to tell you something specific about what happens to your nervous system when your mineral reserves are depleted, because this is the piece that explains everything. Your nervous system has a threshold, a specific measurable point below which it can regulate and above which it simply cannot. Below the threshold, a hard moment is hard but manageable. You have a pause, the breath, the fraction of a second between what happens and your response to it. Above the threshold, the same moment becomes a trigger, not because you're less patient or less faithful or less yourself than you were before your babies, but because your body is running a physical emergency underneath everything. Specific electrolytes and minerals your body cannot manufacture on its own and cannot restore without intentional support. Your body burned through them building your first baby. Breastfeeding continued that draw, and then your second pregnancy started before anything was given back. So your threshold after baby two is not just lower than it was before the babies, it's lower than it was after baby number one, which is why the rage feels faster, which is why the exhaustion feels deeper, which is why the recovery that took 4 months after baby one is taking over a year after baby two, and you still do not feel like yourself. You are not getting worse at this. Your body is running a compounding deficit, and a compounding deficit requires a specific intentional restoration. Not more sleep, not more coffee, not more trying. Restoration. So before I keep going, I need you to do something, because the second baby wall shows up differently in every woman. Some of you are the depleted mom, the 4 p.m. crash, the hair trigger, the salt cravings you can't explain. Some of you are the wired and tired mom, exhausted but cannot wind down at night. already maxed out before breakfast. Some of you are the burnt out mom, past the rage and into numbness, running on empty for so long that the system has shut itself down to protect you. I have built a free 2-minute quiz that tells you exactly what type of depletion your body is running and gives you the very first step towards fixing it. Comment quiz below and I will send it directly to your DMs, or you can hit the link in my description right below. Stop guessing and start restoring. Now, I want to tell you something about my own second pregnancy. When I found out I was pregnant with my second baby, my oldest was around 4 months old, and my first thought was a mix of excitement but a lot more fear. And I was already so tired. I had never fully come back from my first postpartum season. I thought I was functioning, I was showing up, but the woman who had existed before my first baby, the one who had energy reserves, who could feel joy without manufacturing it, who could be touched without flinching, she did not fully return. And I did not know that yet. So when I went into my second pregnancy, already depleted, and my second baby drew from my reserves that were already significantly low. And then he arrived, and the second baby wall hit me in a way that the first postpartum never did. The rage was faster, not a slow burn, instantaneous, 0 to activated before I could even catch it. The exhaustion was not just tiredness, it was a kind of bone deep empty that sleep did not touch. I could get 6 hours and still wake up feeling like I had gotten none. And the guilt of a Christian mom who knew better, who had been through this before, who had no excuse for handling it better the second time. The guilt was the heaviest thing that I carried. And what I did not understand, what nobody had told me, was that I had entered my second pregnancy with a body that had never been specifically restored from my first. And my second baby drew from a reserve that was already nearly empty. I was not getting worse at motherhood. My body was running a compounding deficit that had been building since my first pregnancy. And then when I finally understood that, when I finally addressed the physical layers specifically and intentionally, the second baby wall all started to come down. Not because I tried harder, but because my body finally got back what it had been asking for since before my second baby was born. And I want that for you. Not after your third baby, not in 7 years, now. So I want to tell you what the other side of the second baby wall actually looks like. Not in theory, in the body, on an ordinary Tuesday. The toddler meltdowns, the baby is crying, everything is happening at the same time. Instead of the surge, the heat, the voice that comes out before you can stop it, you have a breath, one breath, between what is happening and your response to it. That breath is the most significant thing that will happen in your restoration, because everything you have ever wanted to be as a mother lives in that breath. All the patience, all the gentleness, all the presence you have been chasing with more discipline, with more repentance, and more trying, it was never gone. It was in a body that did not have what it needed to make it available. Proverbs 24:3 says, by wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established. The wisdom is knowing what your body actually needs. The understanding is knowing why. And the restoration, the specific, intentional giving back of what your pregnancies took, that is the work that builds the house from the foundation up. Not the surface, the foundation. The version of you that existed before the second baby wall, the one who could feel things, who could be present, who could access the love she knows is real. She is not gone. She is just waiting for her body to have what it needs to let her fully show up again. And I need to say something directly before we close. If you have been blaming yourself for how you feel after your second baby, if you have been repenting for the same rage for months and wondering why nothing is changing, if you have been telling yourself that a better Christian woman would handle this with more grace, I need you to hear this. This is not a character problem. It is a chemistry problem. You cannot willpower your way out of a mineral deficit. You cannot pray away a depleted nervous system. You cannot discipline yourself into patience when your body does not have the physical resources to generate the pause before the trigger and the response. The faith is real, the love is real, the desire to be different is real, and your body needs something that intention alone cannot give it. The second baby wall is not evidence that you are not cut out for this. It's evidence that your body gave everything to two human beings and was never given back what it lost. That is not failure. That is sacrifice, and sacrifice deserves restoration. There are just two things before you go. First, take the free quiz in the description right now or comment quiz below, and I will send you the link directly to your DMs. It takes 2 minutes, it's free, and it tells you what depletion your body is running after your babies and what your body needs first. That is your starting point. Second, share this with her. The mama was 6 months or a year or 2 years past her second baby and is still waiting to feel like herself again. The one who keeps thinking it should get easier and cannot understand why it is not. She has been carrying the wrong explanation for too long. The second baby wall is real and it comes down. Not through more trying, through restoration. Anyways, I will see you all in the next one.